Nau mai, haere mai, and welcome. Welcome to you all for our 2024 Wall of Fame ceremony. This is an occasion when the school and old boys join to honour selected old boys who have distinguished themselves through their service and achievements. Men have been exceptional in their personal and private lives and their professional lives in the arts, humanities, business, academia and sport. This is the 15th year that the King's School has recognised old boys in this manner, and those chosen for the wall exemplify the long-term King's calling to achieve a life of service, success and self-realisation, to become good men. Today we honour 5 individuals, but before we start, it's my privilege to welcome to the stage from the Kingsmen, the Old Boys Association, John Barr, Chris George and Hugh Kidd. And here today from the King's Board of Trustees, we have Nathan Adams and Julie Broderick. And we also have 3 inductees here in person, Tim Hazledine, Graham Marshall and Alan Somerville. And a warm welcome to all the family and friends also present in support and to others joining us today via our live streaming. Please everyone put your hands together to welcome all of our guests to Assembly. Today I will read selected achievements of each of these men. A citation has also been added to the King's Book of Honour over in the foyer. Each old boy will then come forward to be presented an old boy's cap and a commemorative certificate with framing from the original school's timber. And then each inductee will speak briefly to you. And if not here in person, a clip or message he prepared for the occasion will be provided. And each of these men is now added to our esteemed wall over in the main foyer for posterity and future commemoration and enjoyment. So let's get started. Our first inductee is Tim Hazledine. Tim was a school prefect, an academic prize winner and school dux in 1965. In the 1963 National School Certificate Examinations, he scored a best of 4 mark of 371 out of 400. This was the 3rd highest mark in the country and the highest for a boy. Tim's success showed just how well our quite small state school, serving what was then the most densely populated square mile in New Zealand, had educated Tim and others. A King's boy had beaten those from what were considered to be the top New Zealand schools, like Auckland Grammar School, Christchurch Boys High School, King's College and Christ College. On leaving King's, Tim studied at the University of Otago, first before moving to the University of Canterbury, where he graduated with a BA in Mathematics and Economics in 1968, and then in 1969 with an MA in Economics. From November 1969 until September 1972, he was employed by the Department of Economics at the University of Otago as an assistant lecturer. While doing this, he graduated in 1972 with an MA in Economics that was awarded with distinction. He enrolled at the University of Warwick in 1972, where he studied industrial organisation. In 1978, he graduated with a PhD in economics in the field of industrial organisation. Tim has taught at Otago, Warwick, Balliol College, Oxford, Queen's University in Ontario, and at the University of British Columbia, where he was in the Department of Agricultural Economics from 1983 to 1992 as an associate, then full professor. Over the 1991 to 92 academic year, Tim held the T.D. MacDonald Chair in Industrial Economics at the Bureau of Competition Policy in Ottawa. Since July 1992, Tim has been a professor in the Department of Economics at the University of Auckland. Tim has also worked as a consultant, expert witness, advisor and peer reviewer for the Commerce Commission, the New Zealand Electricity Commission, the Environment Court, the Tongan Government, Air New Zealand and the Ministry of Transport. His specialist teaching interests are trade and development, public policy, macroeconomics, business managerial economics and industrial organisation. Tim has taken a full role in a number of economics professional societies and service representative committees related to development of the university and its economics department. Since 2011, he has made a large number of presentations at conferences with an impressive list of cited journal publications. He has contributed considerably to professional discourse. Tim has, for example, written thought-provoking books critiquing the New Zealand economy. And now, ahead of his retirement, Tim reflected on what he believes is wrong with modern New Zealand universities. He's expressed concerns about managerialism and its impact on academic institutions. In his opinion, managerialism doesn't belong in universities, and Tim's insights shed light on the challenges and opportunities faced by all academic institutions today. Tim has also contributed to several technical reports on New Zealand and overseas economies, and he's currently Emeritus Professor in the Business School of Auckland University. And in recent years, Tim's also been moved to write thought-provoking newspaper articles to express his views and offer solutions to problems impacting New Zealand's economy and way of life. Congratulations, Tim. Please come over. Yep. Right, please come forward.
Thanks, Nick. I'll try and wear it. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a great honour to be heading onto your wall of fame. I'm going to ask questions. Anyone here with a loud enough voice to answer a question that I can hear the answer to? What do you think is the luckiest thing that can happen to you or anyone in their lives? Any suggestions? Sir, young man, yeah.
Winning the lottery.
Winning the lottery. Yeah, I thought you'd say that, yeah. Okay. Even luckier, though, might be to be so happy and well off in your life that you don't even buy lottery tickets. I don't know, but that's a fair enough one. But anyway, it's not my list, though, so I'm going to give you a list of what I think are the 3 luckiest things that can happen to you, and give you a little bit of advice on just one of those. So my list, in descending order of importance, is to first to be born with a strong, healthy constitution. And the second one is to find and keep your life's partner. And the third one is to follow in your life your vocation. Now, that is a descending order of importance. Clearly, in terms of enjoying your life, you can't enjoy it much if you're dead. So a healthy constitution is a useful thing to have. As for you're finding a partner, well, you can enjoy your life on your own, but it's a lot more fun if you've got someone to share it with. And then the vocation, it's also a lot more fun if you've got something to get you up in the morning and go to work or whatever it is and enjoy it as well. Now, I have to say that I've been lucky, touch wood, in all 3 of those. I can't give you much advice, however, on the first one. I guess it's a matter of choosing your parents properly to get good genes. I can't give you much advice on finding your life's partner, except be a good sort of bloke. That'll help. But I will give you a little bit of advice on finding your vocation. How did I find my vocation? Well, I left King's High School at the end of 1965. I went to Otago University, as Nick has told you. In those days, you tended to do 4 stage 1 or first year courses. So I said, well, I'll do maths, which I did here, and I'll do English, which I did here, and I'll do French, which I did here. I could have then done either physics or Latin, which I did here, but I thought I'd better do something I hadn't done before. So I did economics. Now, you might say, well, why didn't I do economics at King's? Well, they didn't teach economics at high schools in those days. So I didn't do it. I have to tell you, you may not want to know this if you're doing it, that it doesn't make any difference really if you do economics at high school or not, in my view. But anyway, I did it at university. It took, and I've been doing it ever since. So, and enjoying it, even though I'm retired now, not being paid to do it, I'm still doing my life's vocation of economics. So my suggestion or advice to you guys is that if you do have a vocation in your head, go for it. It might be you want to become a ballet dancer, or you want to become a bulldozer driver, or something in between. If that's what you want to do, do it. Even if well-meaning people try to dissuade you and say, no, you should be a dentist, well, do what you want to. Of course, if your vocation is to be a dentist, then do that. That's a good thing to do. Well, you can't be more useful than being a dentist, really. Possibly an economist, I don't know. Okay, so that's what I'm saying to you guys. If you've got a vocation, follow it. Now, you might say, well, what if it turns out to be a mistake? Well, trust me, you're young enough to correct it, but at least give it a go. Whatever you do, in this and other matters, don't die wondering. Good luck to you, and thank you.
Thank you. So we now move to our second old boy to be added to the Wall of Fame. That's Graham Marshall. In his career at King's, Graham made a wonderful contribution to school football. In 1981, he represented Otago in the under-13 team and played for the junior rep team versus Waitaki. In 1982, he was the outstanding member of the competition-winning under-14 team. He was also a leading goal scorer for the first 11 in interschools and was a member of the tournament-winning team that year. Remember, he was only a 14-year-old at that stage. In 1983, Graham was, while a member of the 15th grade team, selected for the New Zealand under-15 team and travelled to Australia, where he played at right fullback in an international against Australia. Graham played for the King's first 11 from 1982 to 1985. He gained a King's blue in 1983 and 1984. 1984 saw Graham join Green Island's Hertz League team while continuing to play interschools for Kings. In 1985, Graham switched his allegiance to Dunedin City AFC, where he quickly won his way into their National League team. Prior to leaving school, Graham scored a hat-trick against old rivals from the Hill, Otago Boys, to give us a solid 4-0 victory. And shortly after leaving school, Graham won selection for the South Island under-18 team and also had the high honour of representing his province against the New Zealand national team, the All Whites. In 1985, Graham was an Otago and South Island under-18 football representative. Graham was given a sporting scholarship to Crystal Palace Football Club in 1986-87 for 4 months. He spent time with Crystal Palace reserves in 1987 under the guidance of former England international Steve Coppell, which gave him a good grounding in the art of football. Subsequent to this, Graham then played for Green Island, Dunedin City, Waikato, Hamilton Wanderers, Roslyn, Wellington United, Dunedin Tech, Crystal Palace Reserves and the New Zealand All Whites. Graham made his full All Whites debut in a 3-0 win over Singapore on the 21st of February 1996 and ended his international playing career with 10 A international caps to his credit, including the captaincy on one occasion. His final cap was an appearance in a 1-3 loss to South Korea on the 25th of January 1997. Graham is still playing today, and while his speed has decreased and his recovery time has increased, he's still as competitive as ever. Graham is currently a Southern Football Board member too. Worthy achievement is evident in Graham's working life as well. After starting his apprenticeship in 1985, Graham applied his trade through a number of projects until attending Otago Polytechnic from 1999 to 2001 to complete a diploma in quantity surveying and construction economics. He joined Naylor Love Construction in 1999 as a quantity surveyor, and after 8 years, led and delivered major construction projects in and around the Otago region. From 2012, Graham has been the contracting manager, head of trade service, at Property Services, University of Otago. He oversees the day-to-day repairs and maintenance, adaptations and urgent work that keeps critical space available for staff and students. On a weekly basis, this incorporates overseeing approximately 65 trade staff, 5 management staff and a number of external specialist contractors. Graham's responsible for the financial and operational performance of trade services at the university. And from 2013 to 2016, he also studied at the University of Otago, where he successfully completed a Master of Business Administration degree. Congratulations, Graham. We're delighted to be adding you to the wall. Please come forward.
Hello, kia koutou. Look, it's a real honour and a privilege for me to be here today. I think back 40 years ago, I was sitting where you are now, and that 40 years has gone pretty quick. Like I said, when I left school, I had some goals. It was all around football. I was passionate about the game. I was passionate about sport at Kings High. I gave everything a go at Kings, but football was where I wanted to go. It sort of set me up as I moved forward into my after-school life. And when I went to Crystal Palace, it really wanted me to do better, and it really wanted me to achieve a lot more in the sport. When I came back, I gave everything to the sport. And I've got my wife here today, and I just want to thank her, because in 1994, when I did make the All Whites, she supported me every inch of the way. So Bronwyn, thank you for that. And I didn't know really what I wanted to talk to you about today, but what I wanted to do was one of my shirts that I have in my collection, and back in my day, you didn't get a shirt a game, right? So you actually had to wash your own shirt. So this is back in 94. So what I wanted to do today was just bring this, one of my shirts. I wore this in South America when we went to tour there. We played Turkey, we played Paraguay, we played Chile, and we played Uruguay twice. And it was an amazing tournament. Back in 1994, we were called the Smoke-Free All Whites. The All Blacks got Steinlager and we got smoke-free, so I'm not really sure what happened there, but as you hear today, you know, New Zealand is really promoting the smoke-free message, and I think we were the first team to actually brand it and push it. So it means a lot to me, but also today means a lot to me to be inducted into the Hall of Fame at Kings High School. So from me, I'd like to present this to the school, so that I guess it's in remembrance of a Dunedin boy that went to Kings, that went on and represented the All Whites, but it also represents opportunity for any boy that comes through the school that you can achieve that. So thanks very much.
We now move to our third person, and that's James Sneyd. Now, unfortunately, James is unable to join us today, but he has provided a clip that we will screen after I read his citation. James was School Dux in 1979. He received the Kings High School Old Boys Association Prize for all-round merit and the Form 7 Mathematics Prize. James was captain of the Hockey First 11, nicknamed Sneyd's Army. His selection for the Otago Under-17 representative team in 1978-1979 was followed by him receiving a school hockey blue in these years. James was born into a medical family, spent his childhood and teenage years in Dunedin. He initially studied medicine at the University of Otago. However, he included mathematics in his medical program, and some inspirational teaching caused him to change his major to mathematics. James learned to play the violin from an early age and was a very competent player. His interest in music continued at university, and he played around town with small jazz groups. On completion of his university studies, James applied for the top 5 United States graduate schools for mathematical biology. After being offered places at all of them, James chose New York University. New York also interested him because of its strong bass and jazz music. James took time to play in some jazz bands there and listen to some of his jazz heroes. James completed his thesis at New York and was immediately offered a tenure position at UCLA. He was able to negotiate a delayed start and finally went to Oxford to spend a year with a man he looked up to, Professor James Murray, a Fellow of the Royal Society whose legacy continues to inspire and shape the field of mathematical biology. Once at UCLA, James began his productive and renowned modelling and analysis of intracellular and intercellular calcium dynamics. Over 25 years, with co-authors and students, he has written approximately 100 papers on various aspects of calcium dynamics. James returned to New Zealand in 1994, taking up a lectureship at the University of Canterbury. In 1998, James received an offer from the University of Michigan that was too good to turn down, and he relocated with his young family to the United States. James returned to Massey University, Albany, and then in 2002 succeeded John Butcher as Professor of Applied Mathematics at the University of Auckland, where he is still working. As well as prolific research output, James supervised dozens of graduate students. James' many research areas have included asthma and the lung. How do lungs work and what causes asthma? Saliva secretion. How is saliva secreted? What controls electrical bursting in GnRH neurons? And what role does calcium play? How is this related to hormone secretion? James remains an avid jazz violinist. Since returning to Auckland, he's played in professional jazz groups, one playing gypsy music with vibrant gypsy swing, and another flamenco rumba beat. Another band plays Cuban music with its roots stretching right back to African tribal music and to the French and Spanish classical and folk traditions. James Sneyd, everyone. We'll now watch the clip that he's provided for us.
Kia ora. Hi, I'm James. I attended King's High School a long time ago, maybe about 1,000 years or so, and I've been asked to contribute to the King's High School Wall of Fame, which is a real honour, a real privilege, and a really cool thing to be asked. I left King's High School. I did a degree at the University of Otago in mathematics, and I worked overseas for a long time, the United States, England, etc., before I ended up back at the University of Auckland, where I work in the mathematics department of the University of Auckland. I was asked to talk to you about achievement, which is not necessarily easy because I can only talk about achievement from my point of view, not necessarily yours, and everybody is different. But this is just what I think. I think that the most important thing about achievement is to do something that you love, that you want to do. Doesn't matter what it is, art or dance or music or science or math or sport or whatever. Doesn't matter, as long as it's what you love. Now that's easy for me to say, but it's not always easy for you to do, because you may have all kinds of pressures to do certain things that other people maybe want you to do. Maybe your parents, maybe your teachers, maybe your friends. Maybe they say, be a lawyer, be a doctor, be a this, be a that, blah, 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 blah. And yet you should always keep in mind that if you want to achieve, you want to do something that you love. If you don't really want to be a doctor, don't bother. If you want to be a musician, you be a musician. That is the most important thing. I really encourage you, as strongly as I can, you have to follow your heart. And if you do that, then one day you too will be, maybe, asked to be on the King's High School Wall of Fame as well. Until then, the very best of luck from me. Bye-bye.
Our fourth inductee in 2024 is Alan Somerville. Alan Somerville was born in Roslyn, Dunedin, and attended King's High School from 1952 to 1953. In 1953, Alan was King's junior athletics champion and junior swimming champion. When older, Alan played for the Otago rugby team in 1967 and 1968 as a famously strong running outside back. From early childhood, Alan was a prolific drawer. He was selected for special art classes at the age of 6, as he was intensely skillful in drawing people and animals in action. Alan was a genius. Initially, the journey of life pointed Alan towards farming. While working hard on his farm for over 30 years, he continued to draw and paint. Alan also became a tutor of drawing and painting in the Maniatoto district and was an active member of the Central Otago Art Society. Alan's desire was to pursue art full-time. Consequently, he took his family back to Dunedin, where he was able to use the facilities of the Otago Polytechnic evening classes to develop an understanding of bronze casting and other sculpting techniques. He was accepted as a member of the Otago Art Society. In 1988, Alan emigrated to Australia with the intention of finding the Queensland marble quarries and exploring this medium for his artistic talent. However, in Sydney, Alan was presented with an opportunity to work with bronze at the Fine Art Bronze Foundry for almost 4 years. He was then accepted to the New South Wales Sculptors Society and the Ku-ring-gai Art Society. Alan was granted Australian citizenship, and his works have been commissioned for public and private collections. Alan's body of work is critically acclaimed. He is skilled in all artistic mediums and is a master sculptor. He comprehends the dynamics of the anatomy over the literal image of the body in his sculptures. Alan's complex subjects and difficult poses display a masterly use of techniques and understanding of the subject. His figure drawings and male sculptures are the most fascinating creations of all. Alan has obtained a countless number of awards and showings in many exhibitions. His numerous public works include 3 bronze sculptures at the National Australian War Memorial in Canberra, an 8-foot bronze sculpture of Sir Henry Parkes for the Centennial and Moore Park Trust, a bronze portrait of Chief Executive Ross Sayer for the State Rail Authority, a bronze horse for the Lloyds Bank Executive Officer in Sydney, 2 iconic bronze diggers on Sydney's Anzac Bridge, and the bronze bull at the World Square in Sydney. There have also been a good number of prizes, special awards and medals won by Alan at festivals and shows for his sculpture, his drawing, his watercolour painting and oil painting. Beyond the public realm, Alan has created countless private commissions. His ability to capture emotion, movement and character in bronze has resonated with patrons worldwide. Congratulations, Alan. Please come forward.
Well, I have to say this is the most unexpected honour. I never thought I'd ever be asked back to King's High after my outstanding academic failure. I was saved, funnily enough, by the rector of my day, Bill Lang. I'd already been set up on a farm, or not set up, I was working on a farm. My father had arranged with one of his business associates and who placed boys on farms, and I actually went to the Maniatoto when I was 13 years old, and I loved the place. The next, I used to go up on subsequent holidays, and the end of 1953 year, I went up before Christmas, and the man that had taken me under his wing up there, he was a Second World War vet, Nigel McGregor. He was a fantastic bloke. He his grandfather had come to New Zealand as a shepherd from Scotland, and the doggy thing was in the family. Dogs knew he was the boss. I treated them like pets, but anyway, that was the way it was. He told me that second year I went up at the Christmas, before Christmas, that he wanted someone permanently to stay on the farm. I went back for Christmas down in Dunedin and met my father at the office. I said, I want to leave school. And as we drove down the Bay Road, 20-minute drive, until nothing happened until up the driveway, he just said no. I went back to the farm after Christmas. I was virtually sweating blood. I didn't want to go back to school. I got a phone call a week before school was due to start. He said, my dad said, well, I'm going to let you leave school. And he'd gone around all his business associates and said that I wanted to leave, and they said, no, he's got to be educated. But the thing that saved me, he came out to King's High, saw the rector, Mr. Bill Lang, and told him Alan wants to leave school, and Bill said, let him go. So it saved my bacon. Anyway, the art thing was always there. I was drawing when I was 3 years old, or so my parents told me. And my dad had done 3 years at Otago Medical School, following my grandfather, who was a doctor up in the North Island. He always told us, or pulled out of medicine school after 3 years. He told us he didn't like it when things got into the operating theatre. I don't think it was really that reason at all. But the fortunate thing for me was that he had two uncles, directors in a printing company, and during the war years, everything was pretty scarce, but he managed to get offcuts of paper, bring them home, and it satisfied my urge to draw. Where do we go from here? I really was I think probably King's was not the right school for me. I'd done reasonably well academically at primary school. In fact, I got the runner-up prize in my final year, and as some smart Alex said, well, of course you should have, there was only 2 in the class. I loved farming, I loved the life, it was hard. I loved Maniatoto, the rugby and everything else, so I was sport mad up there. But I ended up marrying a local lass who actually played hockey for New Zealand. Her younger sister also did. They were hockey mad. But I ended up, we had 3 daughters, and the upshot of it was that the art thing was starting to nag at me a bit. I thought I'd been born with something and not utilising it. What are we going to do? And I'd taken over the farm by this stage, and we decided we'd sell up, and we came back to Dunedin. My late wife couldn't get back into teaching, she had to retrain, didn't like that, so we decided to pull the pin, and we went to Australia. She preferred Melbourne. She'd been there, I'd been to Sydney. We went to Sydney, a container of furniture went to Melbourne, and our plan was to go around the country, of course, and find a particular place we might enjoy to live in. Well, the upshot was we never got out of Sydney, and I'd gone over there thinking I'd actually done a bit of carving in Oamaru limestone, which is really a good beginner's medium to work in. And I thought when I get to Australia, maybe I'll find someone that handles or imports marble, that I may be able to do some stone carving there. And I met this Italian fellow that imported marble from Carrara in Italy, mainly for bench tops, but every container load he brought in, he'd bring in a lump for sculptors. And I just got this keyed up to do something, and I happened to read the Sydney Morning Herald, and this ad for jumped out at me for a sensitive artistic person in a bronze foundry. So I phoned them up, and when I told him where we were, he said, well, you'll need a helicopter to get here, but can you come up this afternoon? So I had a little van, we drove up. And I don't know how many of you know much about bronze foundry, but a lot of the stuff that's done there is sort of basic engineering, which I'd, I suppose, got quite good at on the farm. I taught myself to weld when I was about 16 and all the rest of it, and patching up gates and doing making gates and things. And finally I went back to the office after looking around the foundry, and they said, well, can you start on Monday? And I thought, this is fantastic. So up I went, and of course what I've done since has been totally the opposite to carving. I've become a modeller in clay and so forth, and I joined the New South Wales Sculptors Society, and they got different requests for sculptors for certain types of work, and within, I think I ended up just over 3 years at the foundry. I was only out of the place about a couple of months, and I ended up getting my first commission, which I have to say, probably had I stayed here in Dunedin, these things just wouldn't have happened. You've got to realise that there's more people in the Sydney Basin than the whole of New Zealand, so there's always things cropping up, and I was, for figurative work, I seem to be at my name was always put forward for anything that came through. Anyway, I've had a charmed life, I must say. Things that I didn't want art to be well, it was rapidly approaching an old man's hobby. I didn't want it to be that way, so I really, I've been pretty lucky the way things have turned out. So if it hadn't been, I suppose, for Bill Lang letting me go from school, I don't know where I'd have ended up. Anyway, I've enjoyed coming back here. I think the last time I was on stage at an assembly was for some altercation on the school bus. So I'm fortunate to be here for this purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. We now move to our final old boy to be honoured today, and that's Jeff Thomas. Fortunately, Jeff cannot attend today. Just to tell you a bit about him, Jeff has made significant contributions in various domains as a prominent figure in Dunedin. Since retiring from the legal profession in 2013, Jeff's remained based in Dunedin and actively pursued his not-for-profit, private commercial and governance activities. From April 2013 until the present, he's been self-employed as a company director consultant. Jeff is a Chartered Fellow of the Institute of Directors, and more recently became a Distinguished Fellow of the Institute of Directors, which is the highest accolade of the Institute. Jeff passed his school certificate examinations in 1961 and gained university entrance in 1962. On leaving King's, Jeff attended the University of Otago, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Laws, an LLB. Jeff started in a two-partner law firm, Anderson Lloyd. He remained with the firm for 43 years, becoming a partner and consultant. Rather than specialising in his career, he was a general practitioner of law. His major areas of interest were trusts and business and property law. When he retired from the legal profession in 2013, there were over 30 partners at Anderson Lloyd. Jeff had enjoyed seeing the growth of the firm. Jeff also valued the broad range of industries he was involved in, including tourism, transport, engineering and education. Jeff has governed prominent Otago organisations and companies. These include chairing the Dunedin Railway, Dunedin Casino, Otago Youth Employment Trust, Property Council, New Zealand Otago Chapter, Larnac Castle and the Principals Advice and Support and Law Link groups, among others. Jeff served as the chairman during the rebranding of the Dunedin Casino. The casino, now known as Grand Casino, underwent a transformation to better engage with the community. The rebranding not only changed the name, but enhanced the overall experience. New signs, staff uniforms and refurbishments were part of his initiative. Under Jeff's leadership, the Grand Casino also extended its support to various charities, including Otago Cricket, Nuggets Basketball, Dunedin Wildlife Hospital and Foster Hope Otago. Jeff's non-executive director roles have included Dunedin International Airport, Technology Holdings and arts and culture boards such as the Royal New Zealand Ballet and Dunedin Fashion Incubator. A career highlight was Jeff's membership of the Institute of Directors, where he was introduced to so many businesses and met some wonderful people. Jeff was a member of the Institute for 17 years and contributed to the organisation on the Policy and Practices Committee, which oversaw the rewrite of Institute of Directors' text, The Four Pillars of Governance Best Practice. He was also on the accreditation panel and was held positions as Otago Southland Branch Chairman and member of the Institute of Directors National Council. On retirement from the law profession in 2013, Jeff continues to give back to the business and community he values so highly with roles on various public, private and not-for-profit boards. I now shift across to the clip that he has provided for us.
Hi there, my name's Jeff Thomas. I've really got to start with an apology for not being in Dunedin for the celebrations. I had a commitment made many months ago to be in Portugal at the time of the celebrations and inductions, so please accept my apologies. I would love to have been there. I also want to congratulate my fellow inductees. Looking at the calibre of my fellow inductees, I find it very flattering to have been included in this bunch. Very flattering, and congratulations to you all. I went through school baby boomer times. When I entered school, Bill Lang was the rector. By the time I left, Harry Craig had taken over. Lots of happy memories of school. I remember I lived up the top of a hill at Anderson's Bay, biking to school with friends. I remember on one occasion whizzing down Silverton Street as we did on our bikes. There was a bus stopped at the bottom. I went bang into the back of that. I remember more than one occasion where we fell off on the ice at what we called Last Gala Corner. We used to fall off there on the ice. I remember Brock's Dairy. That's the dairy at the gate, the common gate by Kings and Queens and Bayview Road. Lots of fond memories. I remember Barracks Week. Barracks Week set me in good fettle, I suppose, to later have the fortune or misfortune, I'm not sure which, to have my name called out of the ballot box to be called up for national service military training later on when I was working. Nick, when he called me up, I really was very surprised as well as flattered. I said to Nick, have you checked my school record? He said, it's not really what happened at school so much, Jeff, it's really what's happened since and what foundation the school had made for later life. If he had looked at my record, he would find I was no better than an average student at best and less than average at sport. When I left school, I studied law and at the same time took on a full-time job with the Justice Department. That's the Land and Deeds Division of the Justice Department. And then about the time I graduated, I went into private practice and I stayed with that private practice right through until I retired more than 40 years later. I'd just say in passing, when I left the government employment to go into private practice, I halved my salary. Fortunately, within a short time, we picked up and surpassed that salary. Career in law was kind to me. It suited me well. Not only the law itself, but really it's business that pushes my buttons. And it took me years to find that out. I just love business. And the law let me get involved with, either by being an officer of the company or doing their legal work, but with farming, tourism, business incubation, airports, railways, FPOS industry, casinos, school governance, and then community activities. I mean, Royal New Zealand Ballet I found so interesting. He's a most unlikely person to ever get on the ballet stage. Age concern, all those things are so rewarding. And the law gave me the intro into those things. Very rewarding. Really my message for today's pupils, to keep out of trouble, keep your nose clean, but it's a big, wonderful world out there. So you'd be well prepared at King's, do a great job in preparing you for the big world, and get in and go for it. Thanks very much, and have a wonderful celebration.
Now I ask you to put your hands together one more time for all of our newly honoured members. I now conclude by thanking all of our guests here today and those with us online. And so many of you boys harbour the huge potential that these men had at your age. Consider what sort of life you want for yourself. The best start you can build at King's will then set you up for success and a good life out there in the real world. Perhaps you too will be honoured here one day for what you have done and who you've become, more importantly, as a Kingsman. I'll ask the school to stand soon, and as I do so, I'd like to invite our guests from stage to leave first, followed by those seated at the front of our seating. School stand.